Hey guys, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from ShrinkingPastor.com.
And together, the three of us, we are Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Good morning, boy.
Good morning.
And I think I just want to commence to smoking because boy has got some talking to do. Today, we are smoking Escudo.
Pardon me?
It's only been made since 1912, and this is the first time I've ever smoked this.
Oh.
So you'd think I could pronounce it.
Yeah.
Escudo Navy Deluxe, a choice and unique blend, scientifically manufactured. It says here it's a combination of full-bodied Virginia from North Carolina and Virginia, blended with Perique from Louisiana. The blend is pressed and matured before it's spun and cut into coins. The process ensures the unique character. All right, whatever.
Yada yada.
Yada yada.
Speaking of yadas.
Full body and Perique are two things that you know are not my favorite combinations.
And I may not even smoke it this week.
All right, well, I'll give you a full report. How about that?
Excellent. Oh, crap.
Did I do that?
Yeah, you did. So, this today is going to be a pretty vape-heavy episode because there's some cool vaping stuff I want to show off and some vape news, and I have an embarrassing vaping story to share that I haven't told Homer yet.
Okay.
Wanted to save it for this. And as has long been promised, I'm going to show you how to build your own coil.
No way.
Way.
Did you hear that, Hillman?
And the reason why I've waited so long, I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I filmed the video. It was terrible. It was too long. It wasn't any good. And around that time, I made an order to Fast Tech, which I've mentioned several times. The order finally came in last week. And what I have been waiting for, I haven't made myself any new coils because I've been waiting for these. I'm very excited. So,
what's a coil?
So the coil is, okay, all the way back.
And wait, and in honor of vaping, I'm going to be lighting. I keep forgetting to use my matchbox here. I'm going to be lighting with a match from the matchbox.
One of our favorite voopers.
From one of our favorite voopers, Nathan Campbell.
Okay, so there are many different types of e-cigs, many different types of vaporizers, many different types of what they call atomizers. A lot of them are disposable. You can use them for a few weeks and pitch them. They're relatively inexpensive. But then as you kind of go up or go down the rabbit hole into vaping, you land on things like this. This is a rebuildable atomizer, rebuildable dripping atomizer, or RDA. This is a mouthpiece or drip tip. You can interchange this, swap it out. When you take it apart, what you'll find on the inside and I hate this one, so I'm going to put this away. I'm going to show you the other one. Some of them have really, really tight rubber O-rings.
So the atomizer is going to take the e-juice and turn that
drip
into a vapor.
Here's your tank. You take the top off, and this is what you're left with on a rebuildable atomizer. And yeah, the atomizer is the part that has a metal coil with a wick, usually cotton or synthetic, inside of it that's sucking up the e-juice that then is vaporizing. It's heating it and vaporizing it. The science behind it, I mean, the coil itself is no different than a flashlight or a light bulb. It's just a metal coil that you run some electricity through. It glows red hot, it gets hot, and it vaporizes the liquid. So this is a traditional build deck.
Are they seeing the same thing that we're seeing? Are there holes all the way through those posts?
There are. And of course, focus, get in the frame. That's close enough. So there are 3 posts here with screws on the top It's sitting on a platform with a little bit of a lip around it. This piece goes on top. It's got air holes around it that you can adjust the airflow. And then when you connect this to your battery, to your box mod, to your mech mod, most of them are called mods.
It's batteries with a switch.
That's it. And run power through it, you get vapor.
So the battery, the power runs through a coil. The coil is spiral. And depending upon the diameter of the coil, the length of the coil, and so on, and then the voltage you're running through it will determine really how hot that coil gets, and would then determine really the temperature that e-liquid is being vaporized.
Right.
So the higher the voltage or the higher the temperature or the higher the resistance, right, you get a variation in not only the amount of vapor you get, but also the flavor of that vapor. You vape at a very high voltage, and you can get a burnt, not a pleasurable burning kind of a taste, but a metallic burnt taste that I do not like.
No.
You vape at too low a voltage, or let's say you make your coil too long and it's not able to really heat up properly, you get a really lame vapor. That's not so good. So what you're shooting for is just right.
Yep. And I'll talk about that in a second. So this is the mod I'm going to use today. It's a box mod. It's a Sigeli 100 watt box mod. It has two 18650 batteries that don't come included with the box. You have to buy those separately. This is kind of higher end, higher of the low end.
It's kind of huge.
It is huge, but with two batteries, it lasts forever, and it can go up to 100 watts. So with this mod, I can choose the power output, and so a lot of times a lower voltage or lower wattage produces better flavor but less vapor production. Higher wattage many times has a more muted flavor, but you're going to get clouds and clouds of vapor,
which is fun.
It is fun, and you know, people are different. People. A lower wattage is going to create a cooler vape, while a higher wattage is going to have a hotter vape. So you can dial it in to either what you're feeling that day or to your personal interest.
So you're saying wattage. I was saying voltage.
Same thing.
Is it the same thing?
It's not the same thing, but
because we have different words for them.
It's not the same thing. You were just steering us as far away from what I'm actually trying to talk about as we can. That's the full lesson. It's fine.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. When it comes to variable voltage devices, with the voltage, you're selecting the power output directly. So the resistance of your coil, which is determined by the gauge of the wire that you're using, how many wraps it has, several other factors. The resistance of your coil is going to be it's going to have an effect on what kind of vapor production you get. So a higher voltage might be needed. Wattage, variable wattage devices are cool because your wattage, when you set your wattage is determined by the voltage and the resistance. So if I set my wattage at 10 watts, if I put a higher resistance coil on there, the mod is going to still give me 10 watts of output. So it's going to automatically adjust the voltage to give me 10 watts. If I put in a higher or lower resistance, it's going to automatically adjust the voltage to give me the 10 watt output.
Okay, so the mod's got that covered then. You can change either of those numbers,
not all of
them,
the
other number will change.
If you change the voltage is direct input. So if I have 10 volts, the mod is gonna output 10 volts on a lower resistance or a higher resistance coil, and you're not gonna have a good time on one of those.
I'm gonna turn the fan off.
That's fine.
It's blowing cold air.
That's fine. Or you can put the fire back on. So the wattage, if you have a variable wattage device, I recommend, if you're first time out, get a this is an E-leaf iTaste e-leaf device. This goes up to 30 watts. You can adjust the wattage. A lot of the mods, box mods, variable wattage mods have dropped the voltage altogether because voltage just isn't as consistent. So if I have 10 watts, it doesn't matter what atomizer I put on my box, I'm getting 10 watts as an output, generally speaking.
This is way too geeky for the pipe smoker.
This is why I was trying to not get into it.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So what you're saying is, if you were a first-time vapor, get that, okay. And then you just play with it. You punch up through the various voltages or wattages, because this I can select either one. And you find the sweet spot and you vape that juice at that setting.
Right.
But you're building components.
I'm going the next step up.
Yeah.
So the next step up, there are two branches. When we're talking about the mods, there are mechanical mods, which is just a battery and a switch, and you create a contact point, and it vapes, and it gives you whatever wattage output is in your coil.
My old screwdriver, was that.
So you push up on the button, and it gives you the power built based on the type of coil you build. So for those, you have to build really low resistance coils to get a high wattage output. On these devices, on variable wattage devices, it doesn't matter as much. And so the next step beyond buying a tank like this is not a disposable tank. It has an atomizer inside, which inside of this atomizer has the same metal coil and some cotton. This is not a disposable tank. You replace the atomizer inside. The next step up from this, really, is building your own coil, which is where a RDA, rebuildable dripping atomizer, comes in. So, to the starting point, what I wanted to show you that I got from Fast Tech. They have these things now out. Someone designed this, and Fast Tech, as they do, they cloned it, ripped it off for $6, or just over $6. You can get all three of these. $6 total for the set.
Wow.
These are Kuro Concepts. These are coil building tools. So I'm going to pick.
So without these, how are people building coils?
Well, let me show you. Let me show you what the coil is actually made out of. The coil is metal wires, Canthal wire. You can get the Canthal wire from vape shops online. You can get it from Amazon. Okay, so this is the first component you're going to need. You're going to need Canthal wire. I recommend getting 26 gauge if you only want to get one gauge to try it out. Remember, different gauges affects the resistance. And for those of you that have a better grasp on electronics, I'm sure I'm butchering some of the math here, but generally speaking, I'm right. So that's fine.
Generally speaking.
So this is Canthal wire. You can get 100 feet of this for $6 to $10. Okay, whereas you're going to buy one replacement coil, one replacement atomizer for this for about $5. 100 feet of this will make 200 coils, probably even more than that. But we'll just say for argument's sake, you need the Canthal wire. I recommend leopard print toenail clippers, fingernail clippers. This, I put a magnet in here because Canthal wire will cut you deep if you're not careful. It is sharp when it's cut.
Really?
And yes, and so if you ever drop a piece on the floor and you step on it, it'll go straight through. It's terrible. It's razor sharp on the edge if you're not careful. I mean, like, it's wire, so it's not. I'm not afraid of cutting myself here, but if you have a piece that's splintered off, so you put a little magnet right in there and it catches any
little teeny pieces.
So let me show you why this thing is cool and why I didn't want to show you how to build a coil until this. Before, you would have to take drill bits usually, and you take the wire, take the drill bit, and wrap the wire around the drill bit, which is fine. There's nothing wrong doing it that way, but it's hard to compress the
wire. You got a particular
wire.
size you're looking for to make the loops a certain size.
I'm going to put a link in the box down below, but Steam Engine is a website. Lets you decide what size kind of wire you're using, what resistance you're aiming for, and it tells you what size to use, what size diameter to use, and how many loops. It's excellent. But this little thing is awesome. So I have 3 of them because they're 3 different sizes, and all this is a post and a handle, and there's a tiny hole right in the top that you run your Kanthal through, just like so. You collapse it down, and now...
So your thumb is holding that wire.
I'm holding the wire down. Yep. And it's got a cap, and the cap has 2 screws in it. They're labeled 1 and 2, and one of them is a closer distance away, so it's going to give you a smaller diameter coil. The other is further distance away. All you do, you place this cap down, push it down, and you start to spin.
So you've selected, in this case, number 1 is the one that's actually pushing the wire around.
Mm-hmm. And you just put keep a little bit of pressure on it. You don't want to push it too hard because that'll mess it up. It'll start to overlap, especially if you're using a thinner
and it's just
wire.
It's making a spring. Is what it's doing.
That's it. So that's what I've got. The autofocus is terrible.
Yeah, it is.
There we go. Okay. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. And there I have a perfect, beautiful coil. Making the coils is always the most frustrating part.
Now, do you want space between these, or will you stretch that out a little bit, or is that what you want? Do you want a tightly round?
You want it tight.
Coil?
You want it tight. In fact, traditionally, what you would have to do to get it tight, because the coils are real springy. There are 2 options. One is you would stretch it in a drill. You would put one in a drill and hold the other in with a pair of pliers, and that would make it straighten out.
You draw it. Okay.
And then the other option is you compress it with tweezers while heating it up. So you can either put it into your mod, put it into your thing, and then heat it up that
while
way.
It's
or
hot,
hit
you
it
pinch it, and then,
right.
Okay.
You can't do it unless you have ceramic tweezers, which you can get from Fast Tech. You can't touch it while heating it because it shorts it.
Sure it would. Okay. Wow.
So yeah, something to think about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this, and I'm just going to go ahead and put this on upside down here to give myself a second to kind of compress this down. So I've got consistency on both sides. And there I have my coil. It looks just like a spring. It looks just like a filament in a...
It looks like a diode at this point now, because you've got the wire coming out of each end of it, and then you've got this little cylinder that happens to be that coil of spring, coil of wire.
So...
Takes me back to Radio Shack in 6th grade.
Okay, old man. So, the center post on your mod is the positive post.
Are you sure?
Nope. Pretty sure.
But you're not positive.
Don't acknowledge it. It'll just make it worse. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to thread the needle. Now this deck is designed that if I wanted to, I could have 2 coils. I could have one on this side and one on the other side, and they just share the middle post. I'm not going to do that. What I find is useful sometimes is to use the drill bit or use the same piece to kind of hold it in place. You want to make sure that when you are tightening this up, that you're not touching the post, and that your coil is not going to touch the outer wall once you put the lid back on, because that'll also make it short. You don't want to short these out. These batteries are potentially dangerous if not dealt with correctly, which is why Especially if you're going to be using a mechanical mod, which doesn't have any sort of surge protection, you should know what you're doing before you try to build a coil. So this is an ohm meter. Yeah, an ohm meter. Fast Tech. And when I turn this on, it'll tell me the resistance of my coil is 0.7. So this is a 0.7 ohm. Is that right? No, 0.87. So it's a 0.8 ohm build.
Yep.
Which is good. I was shooting for 1, a little shy, but that's okay. I didn't want to make my coil too big. And again, that steam engine will tell you how many wraps you have to do, and I honestly wasn't counting. I just kind of did it. Here's where the magnet really comes in handy. You got to snip these off close. And so these are the pieces that tend to wind up on your floor.
So the Canthal wire is ferrous. What is it?
I don't know.
Now you need to Google Canthal. Snugging it down now?
Yeah. It wiggled a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so... Perfect. So I'm going to do, before I start putting my cotton in there, I'm screw it onto my mod. Turn the power on.
Show us.
I'm going to turn the wattage down. And so what you're looking for when you go to fire this is you want it to light,
to glow. Wow. You're getting smoke from just, what is there, oil on the Canthal wire?
There might be a little bit.
You should be seeing this.
So
it would make much better video if you were.
Well, it's not right, which is why I'm not showing it.
Oh,
yet.
he's got his ceramic tweezers here.
It's better. Okay. So what you're looking for, and it's still not there, you got to play with it just a little bit. You want it, when you fire it, you want the wire, the coil to glow from the center out. So... You'll see, I mean, it's just like a flashlight. So I've got a cold spot right there in the center, which is not ideal. But what you can do while it's hot, kind of compress it.
And it'll hold that shape.
Yeah, because you're basically just melting the wire together.
Interesting.
So it's not perfect, but it'll do. It's not shorting out, which is good. So I've got 2 hot leads. So then,
why would it short out? Why would it short out?
Well,
under what circumstances would it short out?
It would short out if the
wires are overlapping each other.
Right. It's going to short out then, which is why this is great, because it makes it really easy to keep that from happening. It's also going to short out if the wires are touching the wall, if it's touching the anywhere else, any other metal piece that's not supposed to touch, it's going to create a short. So, and it should not, and it should not be. It still should be. There we go. Okay, so now it's going center out. So what you do at this point is you take a little bit of cotton. This is sterile cotton I got from CVS. You can get a box of 100 cotton balls that last forever.
And you're buying real cotton, not polyester?
No, this is cotton balls. 100% cotton, sterile cotton. You can also use...
I know some folks look for organic cotton for this.
You can. A lot of people use Japanese cotton. You can use... This is silica. It's a wick that you can use. This is what people use at the beginning. The cotton works better. You can fluff it up and it soaks up the juice a bit better. And so all you need to do is you just pull a little bit. And you're going to roll it out and then pass it on through the center of your.
So you're making a piece of yarn now.
Yeah, and you just pass it through the center of your loop.
And what's not going to burn the cotton?
Well, you don't ever fire it dry. So what you do is you make sure that the cotton is soaked with.
So then, like a wick in a candle or a wick in a lantern, as long as there is a fuel of some sort,
it's not
the wick doesn't burn.
That's it.
Interesting.
So let me tell you while I do this, let me tell you my embarrassing story. I was at work late the other day, and I have vaped in my office a couple of times, but I have also reprimanded one of my employees for vaping in my office because there's a smoke alarm in my office, and he was vaping a bit too close to the smoke alarm. And he said, "Well, why does that matter? It's just a smoke alarm." I said, "No, it's in a commercial building. It's probably a particle detector, and I know that on airplanes, the smoke alarms on there are not smoke alarms. They detect particles, and so if they've got, the way I understand it, there's like a beam of light, and if anything passes through that beam of light, if that light is broken, then they are they go off."
You have to coil that smaller, aren't you?
What?
The tip of that.
Yeah.
What you need is an aglet on the end of that.
Yeah. God bless you.
You got it. Sweet.
So after work, I'm there with the general manager and talking about random stuff.
You said a number of people there smoke, right?
It's a plumbing company. Everybody smokes. No joke. Me and the other guy that was vaping in my office are probably two of the only people that don't smoke. Okay, so this is about what you're looking for. You want
It's a mustache.
You want the cotton to be able to pass through. You want it to be touching the coil, but you don't want it to be tight because the juice needs to have a place to flow. And you kind of just want to pack it down this.
So you're not going to trim that off. That's
I am going to trim it.
You are.
I was just about to say I'm going to trim it just a little bit, but then you still want a good amount because you want it to catch.
Want some scissors?
Do you have scissors?
Nope.
Great. You want it to catch as much.
I have some snips though.
I got it. You want to catch as much juice as possible. You're just going to kind of tuck it underneath your coil.
So it doesn't matter whether you're touching the outside of that coil with the wick or not?
No. No, in fact, some people, they make a pillow where they go above the coil and underneath, and the coil doesn't know. So there we go. I'm going to leave it like that. And
if you fired it right now, would you catch fire?
If I fired it right now, if I held it down long, yes, it would catch fire. And even if it didn't catch fire, if you don't saturate your wick before you fire it, it's going to burn the wick, and you're going to be vaping off of a burnt spot, and so you're going to get a burnt flavor in your mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to saturate this. This is a juice that my neighbor makes.
Ooh, look how thick the viscosity is. It's cold.
Yeah, it's also a 70 VG 30 PG. I'm dripping.
Hey, what?
So
you have to be 30 years old to use it? You're 29, son.
Not for long. So the juice e-juice has two ingredients, or two nicotine. It's got 4 ingredients: nicotine, flavor, propylene glycol, and vegetable glycerin. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Not polyethylene glycol.
Nope. And juices that are heavier in vegetable glycerin create more vapor production, but propylene glycol is the ingredient that helps to carry the flavor. Vegetable glycerin is thicker, so a higher VG level is going to create a bigger cloud production, but It's going to create a less flavorful experience, and if you were to put it into some of the bottom feed coils with the atomizers like what you've got, it might gunk up the works. It's great for dripping though. So if I wanted to, I could saturate a bit of this bottom. There's a deck here, but this should be fine. So I'll fire it up, and that's what you want to see.
Crazy.
That means the coil's been built properly.
Wow.
So I'm going to load it up again. It smells good. I've not vaped this juice. I've been waiting to build the coils to do it. So I'm going to load that up a little bit. Put the cap on.
Oh, that does smell good.
Mm-hmm. Make sure I've got some air holes, and the air holes are lined up. So if I wanted to crank it up, I'll take the cap off. Just show you the difference in the wattage.
Speaking of dripping, you dripped all over the back of your mod.
I know. Higher wattage, wattage is going to eat up your juice faster. It's also going to heat up your coil faster. So here's 10 watts. This is low, so it should take a while. It's going to be a slow burn, which is why it's a slow,
see that?
A lower temperature.
Gosh, that does smell good. That's a vanilla
and
something.
And it's blueberry.
Blueberry.
Yeah. Versus.
So he's holding the button down. He's raising, and you have a digital readout there.
Yeah. Here's 100 watts.
Golly.
Yeah. So
it's like a volcano.
You've got to load up. If you're vaping at a higher wattage, you've got to load it up a lot faster. It heats up a lot faster, which is why you get a hotter
So
vape.
why is it called dripping?
It's called dripping because once you've got your coil set up, once everything's good, you take off your drip tip right here, and you can literally drip with your bottle straight through the hole in the top and right onto the coil to keep it reloaded with juice.
And you
and
can't
then
do that
you replace
through
your
the
coil. Tip? Some tips you can. Let me show you. This tank actually comes with 2 different tips. Because I don't inhale, and because I wasn't a smoker before, I have a hard time with e-cigs with too much airflow. Where in the heck is the tip?
So you want to have to draw on it.
Yeah, I like resistance. I mean, I like a pipe's level worth of resistance. So I have a hard time with the ones where you're just like, that's what it feels like to me. So let me replace this with
like mine.
Yeah.
If I crank the voltage up on this, it's almost wanting to vape it for me. It's like just pushing out the vapor. It's crazy.
That one for me, the one that you have, the highest airflow hole is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
For me.
Yeah, exactly right. That's where I have it set. I'm still trying to get the wattage and the voltage set where it's ideal. Not sure what that is yet.
So anyway, I was there after hours with my general manager.
Yes, fire alarm.
I set off the fire alarm.
You did do it. Wow, while he was in the room?
Oh yeah, he was in my office.
So you were trying to prove it?
No. My employee wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
I took a hit of my e-cig, which again I have done in the past in my office, to no ill effect. There was ill effect this time. Well, I can't get it out right now, but I will show you. This is the wide bore drip tip.
That's about a half-inch PVC pipe right there.
And so, for people that want to get a lung full of vapor, who want to blow out clouds, they go and just blow billows. And so it's perfect for that application. For me, I actually, with this last purchase from Fast Tech, I purchased a longer drip tip. I can't find. I purchased a long drip tip. It's about this long, and it's narrow, and it's designed. It cools. It helps cool off the vapor, just like a longer stem on a pipe does. And it also has a narrow suck hole. You heard me. So that it's there it is.
Oh, okay. It's got a bend to it too.
So it's got a bend. It's really narrow. So whereas this other drip tip, the one that I just had on there, was causing me to gag a little bit. This one cools off the vape, and it gives you.
Look at that. That's fancy.
I know. So let me try this again. Yeah, that's much better for me.
So again, what did that coil cost you? Just that one coil?
That one coil.
Forget your investment in accessories. Let's say that you own all that. What would that coil cost?
I do own all of that. So the coil is. I mean, you people have done the math. You're looking at 5 cents maybe
versus
per coil.
$5 on my replacement coils that I have to buy.
So with a little bit of the upfront investment on the tools side, especially with these, but again, all of these things I bought from Fast Tech, it takes a month or so to get to you. That's a frustrating thing, but the price is so good, it's hard to pass up. So I think this is probably the most expensive thing. It's probably $10, maybe $15. These were $2 a piece. This was $5 or $6 for the ceramic tweezers, and I only bought this because I got tired of having to press the button and then wait before compressing. The Canthal wire is $6 for 100 feet, and then the sterile cotton I think is $2 or $3 for 100 cotton balls. So I've got enough stuff with just one $30 purchase.
And you
to make
about 6 inches of the wire to make that coil. So yeah, you would have
maybe even less. I had this much left over. I could make another coil on this. So yeah, you can make 200 easy. So 200
3 cents
atomizers for
3 cents
$30.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's definitely the way to go if you're into vaping. If you enjoy vaping, if vaping is something that you want to keep doing in the future. The other thing I want to bring up is a couple of states are now charging double tax for vaping. So vaping equipment and gear, it has like an 85% tax. And then in Illinois right now, there's a proposed bill to ban all e-cig flavors, period. The sale of any e-cig flavors. And in Italy, they've had an 85% increase in tax and have shown that people are abandoning vaping and are going back to traditional tobacco.
That's what a great thing to have happen.
Yep.
Idiots.
Yep. And I talked on the formaldehyde test, which was going around the research recently, that a lot of people are freaking out because it says that e-cigs have 100 times more formaldehyde than cigarettes. In that test, they took one of the crappy coils with the crappy ingredients and the crappy stuff in them, put it on a mod like this, ran it at something absurd. You saw how much vapor was produced at 100 watts. They ran it at something absurd, like 1,000 watts, and with crappy cotton, and said, oh yeah, it produces formaldehyde. You can see I have a hard time vaping this at 30 watts. Imagine how long you would be able to sustain 1,000 watts on something really crummy and crappy that's hitting dry hits.
My mod
not
has
possible.
A maximum of 30 watts, and I seem to be comfortable right around 10 with the juice that's in here.
And that's, you probably can't even hit the max based on the coil that you have.
I see.
Because it has a voltage limit.
Ah.
Yeah. So on mine, I've got one like that goes up to 20 watts, but the voltage limit caps it at about 15 and a half on that coil. Crank it up, see how high you can get.
All right, we'll go to the max.
Hit on it.
30 watts, 7.5 volts.
That goes up to 7 volts.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
7.5.
All right. Cool. That's all I've got. Took a lot of your time today.
Yeah. Yes, with that, take a hit off of that. Take a toot. They didn't care for the flavor at all. Let's take that back down. Here, try it again.
I'm good.
No, try it again here. Back down to 10. I use a tobacco flavor, and then usually with a little bit of flavoring in it, like chocolate or something like that. Yeah. This is just mostly a tobacco flavor.
Thank you. No,
I want you to witness the difference between.
I know the difference. No difference. It's bad. Ugh. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching.
We're going to put a bunch of information in the description box below so you can know what of these things to purchase from Fast Tech if you're interested. We'll also put
now
a link
you can build your own coils,
to that
save
little
money.
Mod right there. By the way, Seth and I, when it comes to the mods, Seth is willing to go and buy a no-name clone. I buy mine primarily from Totally Wicked, and it's probably very similar, if not the exact thing coming. They're all coming from China. But I like if I'm buying something that's going to cost, let's say $40, $50, this part right here, I want to be able to call somebody and gripe about it if it's not right. And so for me, it's worth paying a little bit more for a brand. Mm-hmm. And then the atomizers and things, I don't care. You know, I'll buy inexpensive ones and play around. But the mods, I tend to buy a more expensive version.
Totally Wicked, the one that Dad has there is a rebrand. It's actually not the most common branding of that particular one. So he's buying it from the company that has taken it and rebranded it. But most people know that as something totally different. So if he asks somebody, what can you tell me about the Curve? I'm gonna say never heard of it. Oh, you mean the I Taste E-Leaf? Yeah, because that's what it's called.
Yeah. And did I pay retail for it, boy?
I don't know.
Of course not. I wait till they're on sale. I'll wait until I have a little bit of. I have a what do they call it? They have a referral deal. And the problem with the referral thing is people have to call and use that referral number, which might give them a little bit of a discount, but that's a hassle, right? Yeah. So don't worry about that. But if you want, we'll give you the phone number and my referral number. Doesn't cost you anymore. And anyway, enough people have done that I got a reasonable discount off of that. So,
well, thank you for watching again.
Yep.
I feel like I've done my duty now. You now should all know how to build your own coil. If you have any questions, though, please ask.
Or watch Grim Green.
Or Rip Trippers. Or any of the other people much smarter than me.
They're not smarter than you. They've had more experience. There are some people that apparently all they do is vape all day long.
That is true.
So, all right, hey, thanks for watching. We'll be back on the pipe next week, if you know what I mean. Be sure to check out Mr. Tool Hunter. See how the
smell a new poster design.
The shop time throwdown is going, and we'll see you again next week. Make it a great week.